Never forget, it's only a safety dance if you dance if you want to, otherwise it's probably a dancing plague. Dancing plague, also known as dancing mania, also known as choreomania, St. Vitus's dance, because many occurrences supposedly happened on St. Vitus's day or ended at a place that commemorated St. Vitus. Plus, he was the patron saint of dancing, mostly due to people dancing in front of his statues on his feast day, which might be connected to this whole thing, but whatever. Also, it was called St. John's dance because some believed it was a curse sent by John the Baptist, and in Italy it was known as tarantism, because it was supposedly caused by being bitten by a tarantula or scorpion. The earliest known outbreak of dancing mania was in the 7th century, though we don't know much about it. A better reported early incident occurred in Berberg during the 1020s, where 18 peasants started singing and dancing around a church during a Christmas Eve service, which apparently disturbed everyone else because how dare you sing or dance in church. We know of quite a few instances, or outbreaks I suppose, in the 13th century, including one in 1237 in which a large group of children traveled the 12 miles from Erfurt to Arnstadt while jumping and dancing the entire way. If this reminds you of the story of the Pied Piper, well, that story was created around the same time and region as this incident, so it very may well be based on this, and not so much the Children's Crusade, but yeah, who knows. In 1278, about 200 people danced on a bridge over the River Meuse. Could have been madness, could have been a flash mob. Either way, the bridge collapsed, but supposedly many of the survivors were healed at a nearby chapel dedicated to St. Vitus. Yeah, see, there he is again. And between 1373 and 1374, there were incidents that were reported in England, Germany, and the Netherlands. On June 24, 1374, a rather large outbreak began in Aachen before spreading to Cologne, Flanders, Franconia, Hainaut, Metz, Strasbourg, Tongeren, and Utrecht, plus Italy and Luxembourg. In 1375 and 1376, incidents were reported in France, Germany, and the Netherlands, and in 1381, there was an outbreak in Augsburg. In 1418, an instance occurred in Strasbourg again, where people fasted for days, and the outbreak was possibly caused by exhaustion. And in 1428, a monk danced himself to death in Schaffhausen, and in the same year, a group of women in Zurich were reportedly in a dancing frenzy. Possibly the best known outbreak occurred in July 1518 in Strasbourg, where a woman began dancing in the street and somewhere between 50 and 400 people joined in. This one lasted until September. The occurrences seemed to peak in the 1500s with incidents such as in 1536 in Basel, involving a group of children, and in 1551 in Anhalt, involving just one man. It should be noted that many of these instances included people that weren't local to where they occurred and quite possibly were members of the wandering poor, which we have talked about before, but were more or less wandering bands of homeless people. The instances pretty much stopped by the mid-1600s, though there were apparently reports of tarantism all the way up until 1959, but what was it? Theory number 1, St. Anthony's fire, also known as ergotism. When a fungus known as ergot grew on rye, it caused hallucinations and convulsions, which was another issue in medieval Europe, and could kind of explain the random dancing to exhaustion. Theory number 2, Sydenham's chorea. An actual diagnosed illness, it's an autoimmune disease that causes rapid spastic movement of the arms, legs, and face. However, it's decently rare in adults and comes with rheumatic fever. Theory number 3, flash mobs. Yeah, seriously, they could have all just been made up and done on purpose, so yeah, they could have just planned this all out in advance and we've just not figured that out. Theory number 4, stress. The time period these incidents occurred in were typically times of war, famine, and disease. The first outbreak was during a famine partially caused by the Black Plague and partially caused by volcanic eruptions, so people were pretty stressed out at the time, and many believe that this stress led to mass hysteria that took the form of dancing. Of course, we'll probably never know for sure. Oh, and as far as how dancing plagues were treated medically, I mean, you've you've got people dancing uncontrollably for hours up to months at a time. How exactly do you treat that? Answer: with music, of course. Yep, they played certain songs and danced certain dances. In fact, it's believed that the traditional Italian tarantella was created to treat tarantism. But, I guess stranger things have happened. Like and subscribe.